because it is going to take us about 2 hours to get through today's session, and I do not want to waste anyone's single moment of time. So thank you all so much for joining. My name is Erica. I am with Arise Virtual Solutions, and my co-moderators today are Christine and Jeanette. Christine and Jeanette are going to be supporting everything in chat today. So please make sure you take the time to say hello and ask your questions. A couple things that I want to share with you before we get started. First off, I noticed that there is someone that is joined by teleconference. If you are joined by teleconference and you do not have access to seeing the slides, you are really going to be missing out. So please, 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 if you cannot see the slides, it might be best for you to come at another time to view this presentation. We do them about once every 2 weeks, so you will have plenty of opportunity to catch it at a future date because it is a very helpful presentation for all of you. The other thing is that I want to let you know that we are here for you. The whole purpose of this presentation is to really address all of your questions related to the Arise platform, how it works, all the ins and outs, everything that you need to know, the post-registration process. Now with that, there are multiple sections that we're going to be going through. Let me talk you through that. We're going to be talking through using the Arise platform, everything you need to know regarding the basics of the Arise platform, how to actually express interest and enroll in a fantastic opportunity, everything you need to know about certification and how certification works and what you can expect there. Then once you're done with certification, how to select service intervals. That's the time that you're going to be actually working and servicing a client opportunity. The importance of metrics and how they apply to you and your companies, as well as support, all the ways in which you can get support, and wrap up. Now each of these individual bullet points here, they are encompassed into individual sections. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the chat as we go through the whole individual section. So what we'll do is we'll close the chat, we'll go through using the Arise platform, and then open the chat to answer your questions in regards to everything that we just presented related to using the Arise platform. We kindly ask that if you have any questions related to things that are coming up, so if you have any questions related to certification, that you wait until we get to the certification area. Or if you have any questions about enrolling, things like that, you wait until we get to the enrollment section, okay? Now, I will also tell you that it is so important that you pay attention to everything. And we know that you're not paying attention when you ask questions that have already been asked. So make sure that you're reading what's been asked in the chat. Make sure you're really listening to us, because if you're not engaged, if you're not listening, you're not going to get everything that you possibly can out of this session. And again, folks, this session is for all of you to really make a tremendous difference in your worlds and make it a whole lot easier for you to use the Arise platform. So with that, let's see how many people are paying attention right now. If you're paying attention, if you can hear me, please raise your hand. You can do so in the Participants tab by clicking. There is the 4 icons that are there, a smiley face, a little head with a clock button, and a hand raise and a checkbox. So please make sure, if you can hear me, if you are engaged, that you raise your hand by clicking that 3rd icon, which is the hand raise button. Look at that. I see plenty of people that are still not raising their hands. I'm going to call you out. Alexis Williams, I don't see you raising your hand. You should be raising your hand right now. Same with Betty and C. Branley. Christina Bridges, I see that you're online. Jeanette 1 and Kate 1, I see that you're online, but you're not raising your hands. Kimberly, Ladybug Promo, Martha Citadino, I don't see any of you raising your hands. Mary Mohini, and Sandra, I do not see you raising your hands either, which means that you are not engaged. We kindly ask that you be engaged for this session. Hello, hello, hello. Looking for everyone to be engaged. We're going to go once. Going twice. You should have your hand raised. If you do not have your hand raised, I just might remove you from the room. How does that sound? Huh? We don't want that to happen because, listen, folks, you're going to get a ton of very helpful information. So, Betty, Christina Bridges, Jennifer Scott, Kimberly, Martha Citadino, Mary, and Sandra Mims, I do not see you raising your hands. That is highly disappointing. Oh, I see Martha just raised her hand and Jennifer Scott did. Leave your hands raised, folks. Leave your hands raised. Do not lower them. Leave them raised if you are engaged. We want to make sure that you are paying attention. All right, so I can see that there are about, let's see, 60 some odd people, 62 that have their hand raised right now. If you do not have your hand raised, we might remove you from the room. Going once. Going twice, you raise your hand by pressing the icon that is the third one in there. Look at that. Okay, keep them raised, keep them raised. Do not lower them. Okay? Do not lower them. All right, perfect. Okay, now we have everyone who's engaged paying attention. This is wonderful. I see Christina Bridges' hand is raised. Perfect. Thank you so much, Christina. I see everyone who is here. Your hands are raised. That is perfect. We are so happy to have you here. This is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So welcome. So folks, we're going to go through all these amazing agenda topics today. Let's get things started. So using the Arise platform, first off, why, and I'm just going to tell you real quick, I'm turning off the chat for right now just so we can get you to pay attention to this particular section. Once we are done with that, we will make sure that the chat is open. You are able to ask questions again, okay? So let's do exactly this, okay? Let me lower everyone's hands. Perfect. Okay. So, why is everyone using the Arise platform? Folks, it's plain and simple. You know, there are incredible, exciting, amazing opportunities for all of you to partake in. Take a look at these brand names that are here, okay? Disney, Barnes & Noble, Staples, Interval International, Intuit. You know, some of you may not recognize Intuit, but most of you are probably familiar with TurboTax. That's Intuit is the makers of TurboTax. Comcast, TXU Energy, Cross Country Home Services, Agero, MD Live. I mean, the list goes on and on. And folks, what you don't see here, okay, these are opportunities that are regularly available on the portal already. Folks, I am very excited to share with you that in the last couple weeks, we have signed deals in about 2, 3, 4 more opportunities, and we have a couple more closing. So I can't even share those names with you right now. All I can tell you is that they are definitely names of opportunities that you're going to recognize in retail and in healthcare. It is exciting, exciting stuff, and I want you to be excited too, because surely with all of these brand names and more that are going to be listed on the portal soon, you are all going to be able to find the perfect opportunity for you. And we're going to talk you through about how you do exactly that a little bit later in the presentation when we get to the express interest and enrollment section. But for now, I just want you to really be excited about these brand names and everything else that is coming. You know, understanding the Arise platform, a lot of people, what they don't understand is the relationship here. So what I really want to do is take the time to explain it to all of you. It's very important that you all know none of you work for Arise Virtual Solutions. You don't. Okay. Anyone who thinks that they do, I'm sorry, you are mistaken. You do not work for Arise. You either work for the call center company that you started, or you work for someone else's call center company. But what you all have in common is that you are using the Arise platform to connect to Fortune 1000 companies. So what Arise has done is we have created this technology platform. Instead of all of you having to either create what we call a brick and mortar call center company, meaning an actual place that you would go to work in every single day, where you go to an office where there are cubicles and computers and telephones ringing off the hook and all these people sitting in the computers, by their computers and their chairs, and supervisors that are walking up and down the aisles and things like that, making sure everyone's doing their jobs, just like you would think a traditional call center to look like. We've made it so that you don't have to do that anymore. Instead, what you are able to do is work from the comfort of your own home. You use the Arise platform to connect your home office with these Fortune 1000 companies, is exactly what it is. So that's why you see this diagram here. You see the platform in the middle, and you see those connections between Arise, the call center companies, and the clients is what it is. So Arise is providing that technology platform. Call center companies, like all of you and who you work for, are taking calls for client opportunities. You're ensuring high quality performance, and you're leveraging the Arise platform to service outside of that brick and mortar call center. Clients are the groups that we find. All those brand names like we showed you on the previous slide, those are clients. That way you don't have to do the legwork. You don't have to say, hey, who am I going to service? How am I going to provide that service to them if I don't know who they are? Arise has gone ahead as part of that platform. We have found those clients for you, and you get to choose exactly the client opportunities that you want to service. Now, we want to also explain sort of that difference between being a company owner and being an agent, because sometimes that's not clear as well, okay? Again, I can't stress this enough, and you're going to hear me say it a few times. This is a business opportunity. It is not an employment opportunity. No one is working directly for Arise. If you're a call center company owner, what you're going to be doing is you are going to be really taking the reins. You are going to properly execute and sign all contracts and agreements, including the master services agreement and all statements of work. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in another slide or two, exactly what those things are, the master service agreement and statements of work. They're all contractual agreements. We'll talk more in just a moment. You're also going to make sure that all agents in your company, if you are just yourself, if you're the only agent in your company, or if you have other agents in your company, you're going to make sure that everyone is a true professional and that they're going to meet all the requirements put forth in the opportunity announcement, which is a document that we share with all of you that gives you all the information about the opportunity, all the client programs, things like that. And that you're also going to adhere to all the service level agreements, including the chosen service intervals. So with each client opportunity, there are going to be metrics, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about metrics. You're going to be making sure that you are living up to those metrics and that everyone in your company is living up to those metrics. That's going to be key. You're also going to support successful performance of agents. Again, if you are a one-to-one company, if it's just you, then you're going to be doing it really for yourself. But if there are other agents that are in your company, if you decide that you're growing your company, you're going to make sure that all the agents in your company, that they're performing up to standard, that you're ensuring 100% attendance, participation, and compliance in the certification course, and that you're helping to encourage agents to seek help when needed. You know, again, because this is not an employment opportunity, no one at Arise can say, hey, you know, you need to go on a performance improvement plan. There's no such thing. If your agents are lagging in their performance metrics, it's up to you as company owner to say, hey, you need to improve. You need to go meet with people, get some tips, get better, make sure that you're successful. Okay. The other thing is that you're going to serve as a first line of troubleshooting support. So we always encourage company owners to go through the same experience as their agents. You know, if you've never been through a certification class, it's strongly suggested that you do that so that you know exactly what that's going to be like. And make sure you understand all the technology requirements and things like that so that you can help all the agents in your company to be successful in terms of those types of things. The expectation is also that you're going to provide on-time payment of revenue to agents no matter what. It is up to you to make sure that you have cash reserves, things like that, so that if for some reason there's some sort of delay or something happens, that you can make sure your agents get paid on time. And then also as a company owner, that you provide all tax documentation to agents as needed. Arise will not provide any sort of tax documentation unless it's tied directly to the companies that we do business with. We do not provide agent level tax documentation. That is up to you as company owners to do that. Now, what does it mean to be an agent? Okay, these are the expectations that we have in relation to being an agent. Again, you heard me say this before. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again and again through this presentation. You are not an employee of Arise. You are an employee or contractor of the call center company you work for. Very important to know that, okay? Any matters of concern that you have should always be escalated through the company owner. Anytime you have a problem, your first stop is with the company owner. Company owners will have the tools and resources to reach out to people at Arise should there be any issues of escalation. But if you are an agent, your job is to go directly to your company owner whenever you have an issue. It is also important that all agents meet all requirements put forth in the opportunity announcements as well as any other contractual documentation. If you don't, it is possible that you will lose your statement of work to provide service. It's important that you ensure 100% attendance, participation, and compliance through certification course, and that you adhere to all statement of work agreements, including those chosen service intervals. Meaning you get to choose the time that you want to service, plain and simple. It's important that as you choose those times, that you adhere to them and that you don't just, say, hey, I promise that I'm going to service on Mondays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then just not show. That's unacceptable, and that is cause for terminating a statement of work. So what are these master services agreements and statements of work? Very simply stated, these are contracts between Arise and the company using the Arise platform. A master services agreement, or MSA, is a contract that's between Arise and a call center company. And with this, the parties agree to most, not all, but most of the terms that will govern future transactions or agreements. These are general concepts to help make sure that we can quickly negotiate future transactions or agreements through those statements of work. That way, the terms don't need to be negotiated over and over and over again. It's done once. With that, the Master Services Agreement, or MSA, is signed by the company owner. It does not require renewal, and it may be terminated at any time by either party, either by the company owner or by someone at Arise, is what it is. A statement of work is a formal document. It is a contract that captures and defines all of the work activities, deliverables, and timeline that a vendor must execute in performance of specified work for a client. So in other words, if there is an agent that is going to be servicing a client opportunity, they will be offered what's called a statement of work that helps define all of the things that the agent will be doing in relation to their day-to-day service. This usually includes detailed requirements and pricing with standard regulatory and governance terms and conditions. When an agent registers to use the Arise platform, as soon as they enroll in and pass that certification course, the agent's company will be issued that statement of work for his or her service. It must be signed by the company owner. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I don't want you to have concern over it. A single statement of work is typically 90 days in length. We do that because everyone is a contractor, and that is standard contractual agreements, 90 days. If performance is at par or above, it's no concern. Typically, that statement of work, it's issued again and again and again and again, so long as that agent is interested in providing service, no problem. But they have to make sure that they're meeting all of the requirements that are in that statement of work and performing at the levels that are required. Otherwise, that statement of work may not be issued again and again. Both documents outline the requirements and metrics needed to use the ARISE platform. Commitment adherence is a requirement in all statements of work and master services agreements, and that commitment adherence, again, as I was talking about before, that's the whole concept of if you say that you're going to be servicing from 9 to 10 in the morning, that you're actually showing up from 9 to 10 in the morning is what it is. You are empowered to do that, but if you're not doing that, then yes, that is a reason to terminate that statement of work. If you sign up to service, you must service. Anything less is considered breach of contract, plain and simple. So with that, that's a general overview there. I'm going to open it up right now for the chat. If you have any questions, please make sure you put it in the chat, and we will be sure to answer in conjunction. Please make sure you're using the Room tab and not sending chats directly to moderators. Okay? Pro Access Management, I see that you had asked if I had to drop a class due to unforeseen circumstances. Will I ever be able to do business within ARISE? So Pro Access, that's a great question, and the answer to that is yes. You would possibly be able to. You would have to wait a certain time period before you would be able to enroll in a new opportunity, but yes, you would be able to if needed. Okay? Shauna DeYoung is asking, are you able to sign up for multiple intervals in one day? Absolutely. You can absolutely do that. It is strongly encouraged. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on, Shauna, so sit tight. We'll go over more of that later in the presentation. Kayla is asking, if you sign up for a time slot and you have a family matter and cannot meet your time, how do you address that? Kayla, we're going to talk about that later on in the presentation as well. So sit tight. We're going to talk about service intervals, how they work, and everything on those lines. Okay? Holly says, if intervals were not serviced due to labor and delivery of a baby, are those intervals counted against us? So Holly, yes, absolutely that is the case. We do understand that things happen. However, if you're planning on having a baby, you know, we strongly suggest that you do not schedule service on your planned due date or anything like that that you plan in advance. However, we do have ways to swap, release time, things like that in last-minute situations. So we will share that with you a little bit later on. So sit tight. All your questions related to service intervals and things like that, we will answer that shortly. Okay. Alicia W. is asking, is the initial fee refundable? No, Alicia, that initial fee is not, our fees are not refundable. There are some rare circumstances where it does happen, but no, for the most part, they are not. What's intervals? Logal Management asks. Intervals are the times that people service, is what it is. So intervals are 30-minute increments, and we're going to talk more about that a little bit later on, so sit tight until then. Ladybug Promo asks, does my company need to be enrolled and paid for courses before agents can enroll in them? No. Each agent is considered an individual, and they can enroll in individual opportunities that you as a company owner may not be servicing. However, we do strongly encourage you as a company owner to have familiarity with the classes that your agents are enrolling in. That way you can help them to the best of your ability. Richard Bellick asks, what happens if you need to go to the doctor on a weekly basis? We'll address that a little bit later on, so tight until then. Let's see here. Cassandra asks, does the client have to go through the certification process if the owner goes through the certification in order for the employee to work to the owner of the company to train them? So Cassandra, you have a lot of mixed up terms here. So I want to make sure that you get the terms right and understand the relationships. So Cassandra, okay, client, a reminder, a client is the company that you're servicing. So let's say you decide that you want to service Carnival Cruise Lines, Okay, that is the client. What you're referring to is the agent, Cassandra. Okay, the agent is the person who is working for your company or contracted to your company to provide service to those client opportunities. So if you as the owner go through the certification process, yes, every single person who works for your company, every single agent has to go through the certification process because they need to know exactly how to service these clients. Okay, you cannot have, say, Carnival Cruise Lines and and just say, hey, I went on a cruise once, I can start taking calls. No, you really need to know all the ins and outs of that cruise line, of Carnival Cruise Line, and how to book it, how to help anyone who calls in, things like that. So every agent has to go through certification every single time.